It's been a minute since I talked about some FPL, so let's check in with a Game Week 5 preview. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of FPL Hall or Nothing. It is Friday, September 20th. My name is Ewan. On today's episode, I will be going into a Game Week 5 preview. It's been a while since I got on the YouTube channel. I missed Game Week 4, and yeah, life has gone miserably in FPL for me. I think when I left you guys, I was at 1.7 million, not doing too much. I had 2 free transfers, and then the entire world fell apart. I transferred out Erling Haaland for the last 2 game weeks. That has gone miserably. I'm down to like 4.9 million in the world. And yeah, just trying to bounce back, get the season back on track after a pretty dismal 2 weeks. Honestly, it took me a while to even just think about FPL after transferring Holland out. And then I hit the wild card and still didn't bring in Erling Haaland. So interesting decisions by me. I did bring in Mo Salah. I will show the wildcard team that I picked at the end of the episode. And if you don't have time for that and you just want to see my misery straight away, you can look at the timestamps in the description below. But because of time constraints and just life in general, the YouTube channel and the podcast just going down to 1 episode a week for now. I'm going to fit in the hauls section in the game week preview every week. So don't look for that episode. It will be in this episode, the game week 5 preview, or just the game week preview in general. Starting off here with the fixture ticker, best fixtures, worst fixtures. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the man pictured here because everyone seems to want to bring him in. They've been bamboozled by the last couple of game weeks here. Everton over the next 6 game weeks have Leicester, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Ipswich, Fulham, and Southampton. It is a pretty good run. I know people are planning to play their wild card in game week 6. So people are like, maybe I should take a punt, like Leicester on the road. Like, that's pretty good fixture. And while I agree, I'm just not going to trust an Everton asset. I'm sorry, not going to do it. I know they scored 2 goals in the last 3 games, but they've also blown those, or 4 goals in the last 2 games, but they've also blown those leads as well. So yeah, just not for me. Ipswich, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, and West Ham round out the top 5 when it comes to best fixtures here. Aston Villa is still interesting to me. Wolves and Ipswich over the next 2 games here. Then Man United, Fulham, Bournemouth, and Tottenham. Ollie Watkins' status, we're going to hear about it today, hopefully in a press conference with Unai Emery. He was seen on the bench with an ice pack around his ankle. So it could be Juan Duran time. Hopefully I pronounced that right. It's kind of hard to say back to back. He is going to come up later in the episode as well. And then West Ham here, Chelsea, Brentford, Ipswich, Tottenham, Man United, and Nottingham Forest over the next 6. Going over to the worst fixtures here, we've got Bournemouth, Newcastle, Brighton, Wolves, and Arsenal. Arsenal's down here mainly because they've got a away game against Man City on Sunday. Then it's Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth, Liverpool, and Newcastle. So after the Man City game, Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth, that is a really nice run for the Gunners, but then Liverpool and Newcastle in back-to-back games as well. So interesting dilemmas for people who are playing wildcards this week, wildcards next week. What are they going to do with the Arsenal assets? Bournemouth up top here, Liverpool, Southampton, Leicester, Arsenal, Aston Villa, and Man City. That is absolutely brutal. A couple of nice fixtures there, Southampton and Leicester. Maybe if you've got Antoine Semenyo, you could hold him through game week 6 and 7, but then you're going to have to get him out there for that Arsenal, Aston Villa, and Man City run there. I am noticing here on the YouTube channel that the headers are game week 3 through game week 8. It's supposed to be game week 5 through game week 10, obviously. So apologies there. Newcastle have Fulham, Man City, Everton, Brighton, Chelsea, and Arsenal over the next 6 as well. The vibes at Newcastle are off right now. There's like some front office stuff going on. Alexander Isaac is down to one eye, apparently, blurry vision or something. So we're hoping to hear an update from them as well regarding that. Brighton has some problems as well, but they've got Nottingham Forest this week. That's where their run kind of ends, as then it goes Chelsea, Tottenham, Newcastle for the next 3, then Wolves and Crystal Palace on the back end there as well. And then Wolves just very dismal. We're still not looking at any Wolves assets until probably after that Man City fixture in game week 8. Want to check in? We've got 4 weeks of data now. So, who are the best attacks and the best defenses in the league? Maybe some teams that we can latch onto with some early data here. This is ordered by expected stats. So, for the best attacks, it's expected goals. It goes Man City, Liverpool, Man United, Bournemouth, and Aston Villa. On the graphic here, I've got the goals, the expected goals, the delta between those two, and then the rank of those delta. So, Man City leads the league with 11 goals, 9.28 XG. They are 1.72 above their expected rank, and that is the second luckiest, I guess, rank in the league there. Liverpool, 7 goals, 8.04 XG. That puts them 15th in the Delta. Man United, 5 goals, 7.89 expected goals, negative 2.89 in their Delta. That's actually the second worst luck in the league when it comes to expected goals versus goals. Followed by Bournemouth here, 5 goals, 7.63 XG. That's 2.63. So they're 18th as well. And Aston Villa, 7 goals, 6.9 XG. And they're just bang in line there. So they are 9th. Erling Haaland has 9 of those 11 goals for City by himself. Just absolute machine. Why would you not have him? I hear you ask. Because I'm a madman. And at this point, I mean, it's only 4 game weeks in, but maybe it'll just be an experimental season. How can we do against Erling Haaland for the rest of the season? Still undecided if that's the route I'm going to go there. Going to try and bank a couple of transfers here, see if I can maybe bring him in game week 7 or 8, maybe. But for now, just going to be one of those people that goes against Erling Haaland. So if you want to follow my misery, make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Going over to the best defenses here. Liverpool leads the way, 2.81 expected goals conceded, which is outperforming their 1 goal that they've conceded to Nottingham Forest, which did result in a loss. Man City's here, Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, and Fulham. Nottingham Forest have been getting some traction in the FPL community as a pretty good defense, and the numbers back it up. 3.05 expected goals conceded here over the first 4 games, only 2 goals conceded as well. So they are in the top 10 there for kind of outperforming their numbers. Arsenal, only 1 goal conceded, so that ties them with Liverpool for the best kind of record in that stat. However, 4.22 XGC over the first 4 game weeks, which is a little un-Arsenal like. So we need to keep watch of that. Didn't look all that impressive last night in their game against Atalanta in the Champions League. Kind of just was looking like they want to prepare for Sunday against Man City. Just kind of get out of there with a draw and just hopefully pick up no injuries, which I guess we'll find out in Mikel Arteta's press conference, which probably was last night after the game. But yeah, Arsenal's second luckiest team for outperforming their expected goals conceded so far. And then Fulham, 4 goals conceded, but 4.25 XGC. That's the 5th best mark in the Premier League, slightly outperforming their stats there in 12th. Going over to punts of the week here, all of these players are owned in less than 5% of FPL teams. I've got 5 guys up here. I've got Jean-Philippe Mateta, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Joan Duran, Dwight McNeil, and Harvey Barnes. Jamie Vardy was going to be on here, but he's already 9% owned. So lots of people taking punts on the veteran striker here in FPL. Mateta is 7.4 million. He plays Man United this week, 4.5% owned, XGI per 90 of 0.6, and he's expected to get 4.23 points according to the rotoballer.com rankings. That leads all of these players for game week 5. And the interesting development is that he has penalties for Crystal Palace, is in contention for penalties at Crystal Palace along with Ebre Eze. So that kind of adds a few goals to his expected numbers throughout the season. And yeah, definitely puts Mateta on the radar there. Calvert-Lewin definitely has penalties for Everton. He's the talisman for the Toffees, 5.9 million. Leicester on the road, 3.2% of teams have him, 0.42 XGI per 90, 3.43 points predicted for game week 5, according to rotoballer.com. Still not going to go there. Don't trust Everton. Maybe that's my Liverpool bias coming into my thinking there, but yeah, that's going to happen. Sorry. Same with Dwight McNeil here, 5.4 million. It was Walsh on FPL or FML FPL that was just saying, why is Dwight McNeil a pick? Like, he's been in the league 7 years. He's never really been a pick, which there were, I think it was a couple of seasons ago where there was a run there where he was doing okay as well. But in general, I agree with Walsh there that, yeah, just not really feeling it. Yeah, 0.63 XGI per 90 is nice, 3.69 predicted points in the rotoballer.com rankings, but just bringing in an Everton player just sounds like a painful experience. So I'd rather not do that. Duran here up front for Aston Villa, potentially with Ollie Watkins on the shelf. We're not entirely sure. Maybe we'll hear from Unai Emery in the press conference today. 6.1 million, got Wolves at home. 3% owned, 1.03 XGI per 90, because when he comes on, he scores. Did it again in the Champions League midweek. Should have had another goal in the Champions League, 2.59 predicted points. However, if we hear that he is starting, he's probably my favorite punt for game week 5. And then Harvey Barnes down here, 6.4 million. Fulham on the road, 1.5% of teams have him, 0.64 XGI. The problem is what I was talking about with the weird vibes at Newcastle. Harvey Barnes should clearly be in that starting 11 for Eddie Howe's team, but Eddie Howe just has something going on there. I'm not entirely sure what's happening up at St. James's Park, but the vibes are bad. So while I think Harvey Barnes is probably the best long-term pick out of the punts of the week for game week 5, I'm just not sure if I would actually go there. I'd probably go Duran and then Mateta, especially if you're kind of in like the Isaac Solanke range. Like if you just don't know what those guys are going to do this week. If Isaac's declared out, I might bring in Mateta as my one free transfer because I have Crystal Palace space now after I got rid of Munoz and Henderson on my wild card. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the punts of the week. But let me know who you would take a punt on in game week 5. Moving over to captaincy here. There's 3 options, in my opinion: Mo Salah, Erling Haaland, and Ollie Watkins. I'm not even sure if Erling Haaland is an option, but when you score 9 goals in 4 games, you deserve to be an option, especially if you're playing Arsenal at home. Salah's got 43 points in the year. Haaland's got 54, and Ollie Watkins has 22. He picked up 13 of those in game week 4. XGI per 90, Salah 0.77, Haaland 1.26, and Watkins 0.96. So expected numbers, Watkins is right up there as well. And then in the game week 5 predicted points from Rotoballer, 7.62 to Salah, 5.55 to Haaland, and 5.15 to Watkins. Honestly, if we hear that Watkins has a clean bill of health heading into the weekend, I would consider captaining him over Haaland if you don't have Salah. But if you have Salah, just going to take the sensible, easy way out. Get the Egyptian King back in your lineup. Hit the crossbar twice in midweek against AC Milan at the San Siro. So I think he's going to want a goal again. Some people are saying that maybe he'll be rested. You never know. And I just don't think that's going to happen. Liverpool has a Carabao Cup tie next week against West Ham, I believe, and Mo Salah will definitely be rested for that, especially with 8 Champions League games happening this season. So I think Salah will play 85, 90 minutes again against Bournemouth, unless it's like a 4 or 5-0 drubbing that's going on and he scored a couple of goals. So Salah is my pick for captaincy this week, and then I'd probably go Watkins over Haaland if you are deciding there. But if you only have Haaland here, not really a bad shout to just put the armband on him, because Arsenal, as you saw in the expected goals conceded data there, hasn't been as good as we maybe think that they should be every season, or they have been in previous seasons. So 4.22 XGC over the first 4 games is not very like them. So if anyone can do it, it's Haaland, who already has 2 hat tricks to his name in the 2024-2025 FPL campaign. Going over to my team here, just a quick review: 39 points, absolutely miserable. Went down another 1 million. Captain Salah with 2 points, transfers with a wild card, and I actually gained only 5 points on my wild card over my original team. But the wild card team ended up being Verbruggen, Robertson, Konza, Alexander Arnold, Anthony Robinson, and Rico Lewis along the back line. Ebrieze, Michael Rogers, Mo Salah, Brian Mbeumo, and Bukayo Saka in the midfield, and then Alexander Isaac, Ollie Watkins, and João Pedro up front. Went without Erling Haaland. We'll see how long that experiment lasts, but it should be kind of fun. I'm trying to figure out something of a little challenge for me. over the course of the next 34 game weeks. I'd love to keep my streak of top 100K going, and it's still so early that that could easily happen. But I kind of want to like look at the world number one right now, see if I can beat them for the remainder of the season or something along those lines. But yeah, that is really it. Short and sweet episode of FPL Hall or Nothing, trying to get back into the swing of things. It's been a couple of weeks since I've even kind of thought about FPL just because it's been so painful to kind of go through the ringer here without Erling Haaland. Maybe I will be bringing that pain to an end and bringing him in over the next couple of weeks. But for now, I just got to write it out, take my lumps. Hopefully it's a blank against Arsenal and Mo Salah can make up some of the damage for me in game week 5. But let me know in the comments below what your conundrums are heading into game week 5. What your transfers are, what you're thinking about, that kind of thing. Yeah, it feels kind of free to be without Erling Haaland already in FPL. So I'm just very confused about what to do going forward. But hit me up on X at F1UNFPL and we can talk it out. And the rotoballer.com rankings will be coming out today. Make sure to go there for our staff roundtable, betting tips, DFS, all that fun stuff when it comes to soccer. But like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, rate the podcast wherever you're watching or listening. Any support is greatly appreciated. But once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.